Hello, welcome and happy Easter. Hello, welcome and happy Easter to you all. It's great to see you again in our kitchen. I hope you had a wonderful Easter. Hope you had lots of nice Easter eggs and you've had a really good time. I'm talking firstly to all girls here at Talkie Girls Grammar. And girls, if you want to leave any messages, you can do that down the side as normal. Millie's with me, my daughter's with me today, and we're going to be making a pâte sucrée pastry today. We're going to be making some lemon meringue tartlets or fruit tartlets, depending on what ingredients you've got in your lockdown larders. And we're going to be making some meringues, making the fruit curds go in the middle, and a pastry. And I'm going to talk to the difference between a pâte sucrée and a pâte sablée, two advanced pastries, and the way that you blind bake those to do it. Now, we've worked before mainly with pâte sablée. This is a slightly different one, advanced pastry, pâte sucrée pastry. So we're going to talk about those. Now, if you're watching us online on YouTube, and I know we've got people watching in Canada, in classrooms there, and we've got people watching in Africa, in classrooms there. So this is great, brilliant. You can leave your messages on the bottom of the YouTube links at the bottom. I say if you're in school, then you want to be leaving yours along the side there, comments down there, and we can say hello to everybody there. Feel free to do that one and post down the side if you're with us. So we've got a few of you with us already to go. So say hello to Millie. Hello. Now I've sent out some instructions about what ingredients you're going to need, what equipment you're going to need today. But for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, that'll be along the bottom there. And like I say, if you're watching this Talkie Girls Grammar, you've already had that all sent to you already. Talkie Girls Grammar, just a quick message to you. So obviously we're doing, to immerse in already, the next couple of weeks we're looking at food choices, and we're going to be going through looking at a little bit more about food choices. And we'll be doing that one and going forward in the next couple of lessons. But for you today, I thought it'd be nice to start with a practical since we come back, and it's double lesson that. Have a bit of fun with that, and you can have a go at either cooking it now or cooking it later in the week and watch again from school, or I'll say if you're on YouTube, so you can pause and play whenever you wish to do that one. Okay, we're nearly ready. Yeah. We're nearly ready to start. Okay, so we are going to get ready to start now. As you would do in any situation, when we're cooking, we need to get ourselves ready through mise en place, the part you put in place, the equipment you put in place, the preparation for your area before you start to cook. And as normal, we need to remember how we do that and how to get ready, whether we're at home or our kitchens at home, or if we're at school. So let's just do a reminder of how that needs to happen. Let me go to this one. And let's go live to the lesson there. So we're making fruit meringue tartlets today. We're looking at skills focus today, and we need to be looking at getting ready to start with. So there's our starter. Get ready for practical lessons. Get yourself ready, get your area ready, get your equipment ready, and remember that is called mise en place. Mise en place. I say tie your hair back. If you're not tying your hair back, make sure you're wearing a hat. Make sure you're washing those hands. Put your apron on, clean your table areas with antibac, make sure that's all cleaned down, so it's all clean and ready to go. Collect a tray is always useful when you're getting your equipment and ingredients ready. So I for ingredients, E for equipment. So okay, so we need to do that ourselves. So let's get back to me and let's get back to ourselves. There we go. There we go. Right, Millie, we're ready to get going. Let's go and get ourselves prepped. We're just going to take our camera over to our kitchen area. Oops, there we go. So we got our aprons ready. Now, don't forget, it's really important that you wash your hands for the correct amount of time. So really important at the moment that we do this correctly. 20 seconds is what we need to do. So make sure you've got some soap ready to go. Millie, you can have the same. There we go. Make sure you've got that. Make sure you're washing your hands properly, especially given the current situation, the current climate. We need to make sure we are properly there. So make sure you're doing the back of your hands, inside the nails, around your thumbs. Okay, back of your hands, wrists. Okay, we're properly getting that covered in soap. And then once you've done that, we need some hot soapy water. So we need to make sure we're doing that as well. So across there, behind the nails, and the thumbs, back of hands. and wrists we are properly cleaned off. Okay, Millie, over to you. And then, girls, you need to make sure that you have got your hair tied back if you need to. Obviously, I don't need to worry, I'm not much hair today, but hair tied back if you have it, and then you need to get your aprons on. Millie, you got your apron with you? Yeah. Fabulous. Spotty apron today. Emma Bridgewater apron, nice. There we go. Let me get my aprons and chef whites on. Like I say, I hope you all had a good Easter. How was everybody's Easter? Is it all right? Okay. We had one or two Easter eggs, didn't we? Yeah, we go. Make sure your sleeves are rolled up as well. Let's get all our correct equipment on. All right. Everything tied up? Yeah. Fabulous. Okay. Oh, camera's moving away. Let's go around the kitchen. Come on then, let's get back to it. Alrighty, let's get my apron on. Here we go. All right. Okay, Millie? Yeah. Hair tied up? Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to get started with today's recipe. Like I said, we're going to be looking at a pastry. We're going to be looking at an enriched pastry. So it's a slightly different pastry to normal. It's quite a hard one to manage. Now, there are two types of enriched pastries that are going to get you the highest marks when it comes to GCSE when you're making a tart. There's a pâte sucrée and a pâte sablée. Now, they're ever so slightly different. Both sweet short crust pastries. One is a little tougher and a bit more crumbly, and the other is a sweeter one we're using today, which is a slightly more sugar in it. So the Sucrée is the one with slightly more sugar in it. The Sablée is the one with slightly more flour in it. And how you put them together is also slightly different. So with the Sablée, which is a proper short crust, more flour in it. That's the one we traditionally use where we're doing the cutting in and the rubbing in. So we've done that a few times now. We did that one the other day, didn't we? We did that one where we were getting the butter. And well, you tell me, what do you do first of all with the butter?
Cut it.
Yeah, cut it in. So it needs to be how small?
Rabbit poo.
Yeah, teeny tiny small. So you can cut it in, and then after you cut it in, what do you do after that?
Like, rub it in. Rub it in.
Yeah, absolutely. So rub it in, and how do you do the rubbing in? It's like that, isn't it? Yeah. So that would be a traditional short crust pastry, the one we tend to use it, and that would be our Sablée way of doing it. Now, Sucrée, and you can is slightly different because we add the flour afterwards, so we get all the sugar and the butter together, and then we add the flour to it. It's a slightly harder to manipulate. Both can add an egg yolk to them to make them enriched as well. We're going to try and add that, but if you haven't got egg yolks for doing that, with enough eggs to do that, that's fine. We can go with not adding so many in there, but traditionally you'd have your egg yolk and maybe some almonds in there as well. But Sablée and Sucrée, that's kind of the difference there. They both contain fat, they both contain flour. Traditionally they would have the egg, you can say perhaps almonds in there as well, but it's how you put them together. So with this one we're doing today, the Sucrée, what we're going to do is we're going to put the butter and the sugar together first. And we're going to put an egg yolk in there, and then we're going to add the plain flour. Whereas in the ones we've done before, the Sablée type ones, which Sablée is the French for sand, so it gets that sandy, grainy consistency, isn't it, when we make a short crust pastry, and that's where it gets the word Sablée, pâte being the actual pastry. Okay, so let's have a think about how we're going to do this. I'm going to return very quickly to the PowerPoint and just go through the ingredients for those people, for everybody here. Okay, so we've done that. Now, equipment wise, we're going to be having a bit of fun with this one today because I'm trying to think about what you might have at home instead of things lying around, because you might have a little tin perhaps for making your pastry tarts. If you've got a pastry tart tin, proper one, brilliant. But we're actually going to try a few different things. So I've got a few different bits and pieces with me today. I'm just going to quickly jump backwards and forwards. Let's go back to us. I've got a few bits and pieces with me today that you might have instead of a pastry. So instead of pastry tin, I've got an old pie dish. We can use that one. Or This is a good one. It's tuna tin, so it's just an old tuna tin, or you could do a baked bean tin. There's some smaller ones. Those you can get slightly taller ones. But I thought we could try and use stuff that we might have at home if we haven't got traditional little tart tins. And this can make a really cute little way of doing it. So if you've not thought of using tuna tins before, it's a great little way of doing it for equipment wise. So we're going to use a few things that we might have at home in our where we might not be able to get hold of other stuff, or we can't get out to the shops to go and get stuff. So we haven't been out to the shops now. It's coming up to 4.5 weeks now, isn't it? Since we've been to the shops. So there we are, options available. Let me just go back to the other equipment then. So we've got other equipment that we've said for today that you'll need to get together you need to get together some greaseproof paper. So whether you're using a tuna tin, a muffin tin, a proper little mini cake tins, you need a little bit of greaseproof paper, pencils and scissors, which we're going to use to line it, and then you're going to need a whisk. Now it can be electric whisk, hand whisk, it can be a stand mix whisk if you want to, a sieve, which you don't need to, bit of optional one there, tablespoon, teaspoon, saucepan, because we're going to be making our curds with that, a wooden spoon, and then a rolling pin. And if you haven't got a rolling pin, that's fine. You can use an old glass bottle from like an old milk bottle. There we go. We can grab one of those. Okay, now let's go towards to ingredients. So we're just gonna getting ourselves a glass bottle as well. We've forgotten to get the glass bottle. Ingredients. Now I've got on here 125 grams of plain flour and 60 grams of butter, 1 tablespoon of icing sugar and egg yolk optional. So at the end there, you can have the egg yolk optional if you wanted to. The fruit filling, I've gone with 50 grams of butter, 3 tablespoons of corn flour or custard powder, 4 tablespoons of you might not have any lemons or limes or lemon or lime juice at home, so I'm going to say you could also use this one and make a curd out of other citrus fruits. So if you've got some orange juice, you could make it up with that. And then you're going to make it up to 250 milliliters with water. Okay, so you're going to make that up. So you'll add your 4 tablespoons or whatever you've got. Add it with whatever you've got, and then you're going to add it together. So we need to think about what you can use alternatively. Now, I have also said corn flour or custard powder. So if you haven't got any corn flour at home, custard powder will do the trick. I'm just trying to think of what you might have in your lockdown larders. And then we got 100 grams of sugar and two more eggs. And then again, we've got meringues, we've got egg whites and some caster sugar. It's just the key should be there we go. Right, okay, let's move on. I'm going to get myself back and we can get started. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Right, sorry about that. Millie was just kind of couldn't find the corn flour, so she's just running around trying to find corn flour. We have got some custard powder if not, but I thought we had some corn flour there, so we're going to have a go at that one as well. Okay, let's get started then. Now you're going to need a bit of time to get this one together. You're going to need to preheat your oven first of all. So if you want to preheat your ovens for 200 degrees Celsius, that's gas mark 6, and then we can get going with that one. We're going to get that preheated because we're going to be doing blind baking our pastries into our little tuna tins. Okay, so we need to make sure that oven's preheated. So we're going to make our pastry first, let it rest, blind bake it, and then take it out again. You okay there? Yeah. No, don't worry if you can't find it. That's fine. That's fine. There we go. So next one, we need to grease and line the trays. Okay, and so here we go. We're going to use our lockdown larder trays rather than using a professional little tart tray. But if you've got a tart tray, that's brilliant. And we're going to have a go at lining these. You're going to have a go and I'm going to have a go? Yeah. Okay, so if you want to grab the greaseproof paper. So very simply with this one, if you've not done this one before, girls, I know we have done it once or twice in class, but if you're watching this again on YouTube, just a very simple one on how to line it. There we go. You need a pencils on the side there, Millie, as well. You've got a pencil there, you've got one as well. So we've got a bit of greaseproof paper. We're just going to draw around the bottom face of that. There we go. You're doing yours. I'm going to do mine. Brilliant. Okay, you've got your scissors there. And then you can cut down yours. I'm going to try with a slightly larger one. So it's just an old beef pie dish, which can be reused. So we're trying to reuse things that we might have around rather than throwing things away. When we can't get out to the shops to go and get stuff. So we're just trying to use our ingenuity, see what we can do. So I'm just going to cut around mine. And these are going to, we're going to line our tins with. Now, before we put them in there, we're going to rub the tins with some butter. And then we'll get them in there. So do you want to do that? Do you want to go get some butter out, Millie?
Yeah.
There we go. So your tuna tins work really well with this. Just make sure it's properly washed out beforehand. I mean, you can cook in all sorts of things. I've cooked in all sorts of bits and pieces. I've cooked in flower pots before. If you're doing things like cooking in flower pots to make breads, which is great, again, reusing stuff we've got out. We've got a couple of lessons we've been doing with the year 8s. There's some next week where we're going to be making flower pot bread using sourdoughs, so homemade sourdoughs. All you need to do with those ones, you just need to, as I was saying this morning to my year 8s, you just need to brush those with oil first, and then you literally bake them. So wash them, brush them with oil, bake them in the oven on the lowest heat possible for 24 hours. Take them out, and then they're all okay. You get them, take them up slightly to set above 75 towards the end to kill any bacteria. It might be any pathogenic bacteria. But yeah, you can bake in all sorts of things. So that's what we've done with these. These ones have been cleaned. Put some boiling water on them to clean them. Same with the tuna tin. Just did that one. Got some butter there. Brilliant. Now we're just going to get a bit of butter on there. I'm going to grease your tins. Okay, so we're just going to go back to our tins there. So I've just got my tin. I'm going to put a bit of grease in there first, and then we're going to line those ones. There we go. Bit of grease on there, and then we'll line those ones down. Okay, and then your greaseproof paper on the top. So if you're watching this Talkie Girls Grammar Girls, for the rest of this, probably won't take the whole lesson to do. So you've got the questions that we did that are set for you already on the PowerPoint, the questions and assignments that need to be done. If you haven't done so already, that's what we're doing for the rest of this lesson. To look at that, we're looking at food choice at the moment as the area. We're continuing to look at food choice this term and finishing that off. Later on this term, we're going to be looking at a practice NEA 2 for you. So I've got an NEA 2 lined up. An NEA 1 lined up. We've done NEA 2. NEA 1 lined up. Non-examination 1, which is your food investigation task. You've got one of those later in the term. So we're going to get that one probably done in about 3 weeks time, probably get that one out for you. So you've got some other bits and pieces. So we'll probably stop the food choice and then go straight into getting you ready doing an NEA 1. That's in preparation for when we return in September. So you can go straight into your NEA 1, which will be happening in year 11. That's if everything goes to plan, as it hopefully will do. And that's the plan for us. But we'll still get lots of little cooking activities like this into it as well. You've got done yours, greased and lined?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so tins greased and lined, ovens preheated to 200 degrees. Okay, next one, we need to now work on getting together our putting together our little pastries. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly revert back to the lesson for you here. Let's go back to that for you and send that live to you and just let you know what the next bit of the lesson is. And you've got the step by step here. So we preheat the oven to 200 degrees. That's gas mark 6. We're making a pâte sucrée mix. Butter, icing, sugar and yolks, then the flour, and grease and line the tins. We've done the other way around, but that's fine. So we greased and lined our tins. The next thing is to add all of our pâte sucrée mix together. So slightly different way to normally making a pastry. This will give us a very crisp pastry and a very lovely crisp pastry for making this together. It's not as manageable as maybe a pâte sablé would be. So sablé you can probably push into the corners a little bit more. It's got a little bit more butter into it. But with this one, there's a little less butter. You'd probably be putting about 75 grams for 125 grams rather than 60, which was what we're going to be putting into this one. So what you need to do, you need to get your softened butter. And with the softened butter, you are going to put in a mixture of the butter, the icing sugar and the yolks. Now, so we got the butter, we have 60 grams of that, the icing sugar and the egg yolk, along with 125 grams of flour at the end. So I'm going to go back to me just so we can talk you through how this is working. You'll need your bowl ready for this one, a mixing bowl ready for this one, and let me just send you live. Okay. Okay, so we've got a mixing bowl here ready to go, so you can see what's going on in there. And in with this one, we're going to be putting the ingredients. Now we've gone with a softened butter here for this one, so it's not a hard butter. This has been out for a bit, so it is quite soft. If yours isn't soft enough already, I'd probably put it in the microwave just for 10 to 15 seconds just to soften it down a little bit. It just needs to be a bit softer with this one because we're going to beat all these ingredients together. Then we'll add the flour. So a slightly different way of doing this one with this pastry. Whereas normally we cut it in and rub it in, making a pâte sablée, sweet short crust. We're going to make the pâte sucrée. This is another way of doing it, and this is what way we're going to show you today. Okay, so in with that then, Millie. So if you want to measure out 60 grams of the butter with that, so you've got the scales there. You just use this one there. Use one of those black knives there. So Millie's just measuring out the butter there. Now, if you've got one of those butters that's got it actually written on the side, you can just look at the side if you haven't got scales there. How we do? Okay. And in with the butter, we're going to be putting in there a tablespoon of icing sugar, so I can be doing that while you do that. So let's put the icing sugar in there. This is going to be adding the sweetness to it. Yep, you can whack that in there. 60 grams of butter, icing sugar. Okay, so we got softened butter, icing sugar in there, ready to go. Next one we need to do, we need to get our egg yolk in there. So, what do you reckon, Millie? Gonna have a go with this one?
Try.
You know, try. Okay, have a try. Now, our whites in there. Then open it up. And don't worry about the whites. We're going to reuse whites a bit later when we make the meringues. Just ease all that white out, and then you can just scoop the egg yolk out there. Open it up. There we go. Well done. Egg yolk into there. In it goes. In it goes. Quick. In it goes. Perfect. Right. Do you want to go and get a cloth from the side there? Yeah. By the sink. There we go. So we now got in there. You might be able to see. We've got the softened butter. Okay, so we've got 60 grams of softened butter. We've got 1 tablespoon of icing sugar in there and 1 egg yolk in there. Okay, so that's what's in there at the moment. We're just going to mash that all together. We've got a little spoon there, with a spoon there. Okay, do you want to go with that, Millie?
Yeah.
Off you go. I'm going to mash all that together. We're going to make sure we've got all of our almost like wet ingredients here. It's almost like adding and then we're going to add the dry to it. So mash all that together, stir all that together. Use the back of the spoon if you want to mash it. That's it. Yeah, it's all coming together. If you haven't got butter on this one, you could use, this is where you could actually use something like a stalk or a soft baking butter type affair, just to get a nice softened mix to this one. And then I'll keep bashing them. Okay? Yeah, okay. I'll have a go as well. I'm just gonna just mash that all together. So we're going to got the wet ingredients first, and then we're going to, with the exception of the icing sugar that's in there, and then in with that we're going to add 125 grams of flour. Do you want to start measuring out that one, Lily? There we go, 125 grams of flour. So here we go. I'll just mash that all together. Everyone okay there? I haven't got enough custard powder. Can I use already made custard? Oh, now there's a thought. Yes, I don't see why you can't, because you're still going to be getting a filling with that one. When you come to that, I will show you what you need to do with that one. So depending on the quantities there, so you could do that and add that to it when, let me just think. Yeah, add that. You could use a ready-made custard powder and then add your juices to that. Good question. You could add your citrus juices to that one. So whether you're using lemon, lime, or another citrus juice to go into this one to make your curd, that would work. Yeah, I can see that will work because you've got the liquid content there instead. You wouldn't need to put in the water content, the 250 millilitres of water content. So when you're doing that one, make sure you're putting about 250 ml of the ready-made custard in there. That would work. Yeah, we'll make do with what we've got in this lockdown larder at these extraordinary times. They're not going to be quite the recipes we thought, but this is all about quite exciting to be looking at what we can do and with making do. So yeast. Yeast is another one where you might find it really hard, and given that you're in year 10 out there, you should be able to make your own yeast. I'm going to let you, do you want to come over now? So we just got there. I'm just on the windowsill over here. We have got my yeast. So I've been growing this one now for just over a week now. So it started off quite a small starter sourdough, and now this has been going. It's bubbling away like you wouldn't believe. This is we had to. Oops, it's gone quite hard. Let's get that one off. I'm going to show you the bubbles in this one. Ha! Oh. No, it's not going to come off today. But you might be able to just about see at the top there, if I hold it really up to the top, that has got loads of bubbles in this one. At the moment it's gone tight. I'm going to have to run it under some water and get that one up there, give it a good shake. It was bubbling over all week, so you should be able to make your own sourdough. In fact, I'll put out to you girls at Talkie Girls Grammar, I'm going to put out a video next week on doing sourdoughs to the whole school. But basically all you need to do is you're putting in there half quantities of flour and tepid water, and you leave it. You just leave it to do its business, let it grow, bubble away, and then you start feeding it. And you feed it equal quantities, 100 grams of tepid water, 100 grams of flour. Keep building it up, and then after about after the first couple of days, you'll see it really starts to bubble up loads. I mean, really a huge amount. So you want it to be, when you're doing it, like mine's in a Kilner type jar. You want to put it in something that is covered, but can still it's not going to explode if the air builds up inside it. So that's how you make your own yeast in this lockdown larder time. So you should be able to do that. Other things you can make do and when cooking is going out foraging. I don't know when we all have to go and do our exercise, our short little bits of exercise each day. Go and pick some dandelions. Dandelions is brilliant. I've got a load of dandelions just stewing on the side over here. Pick a load of dandelions. Take all of the yellow bits off them, okay, wash them in cold water, then boil them up in a pan, and you can make dandelion honey, dandelion jam, other things out there, cherry blossom at the moment. If you go and pick some cherry blossom while you're out there, again, you can make some cherry blossom syrups, boiling it up with water and sugar. You can make all sorts just using, I say, go for a bit of foraging since we're in lockdown larder times. Go have a look and see what's out there at the moment growing that you can use. Primroses, beautiful and sweet to go on food. Really worth having a look out there. So if you're looking at alternative things you can use when we're cooking, it might not be the normal recipe, but we can adapt, change, and use. And that's key what we're doing today. Obviously, we're in classroom, and I'm doing my classroom at home, my room at home. Right. So this is all properly wet now. Yeah. Okay. So we've got the egg yolks in there, we've got the softened butter in there, we've got the icing sugar in there. So normally, like I say, we've gone completely away from the old cutting in and rubbing in the flour into the butter, as you would do with pâte sablée. And we're going to create a Sucrée way of doing it, and this is a slightly different way of doing it. And now we're actually going to fold it in together and then knead it into a ball of pastry, and then we'll let that one chill as we would do normally with a pastry, put it in the fridge, and then we'll come back to it once we've made the fillings. Okay, so you've got the flour there. Now we can sieve the flour in, or if you can go, you can go sieve the flour. There we go. So we're going to sieve the flour into there. Millie's got the flour into there. Can you remember how much flour you put into that one?
125.
That's correct, 125 grams in there. So in that one goes. Fabulous. Give that one a little tap. Get all the, there we are. So we're aerating our mixture. Think of the food science from last term. We're aerating our mixture here, which is good. We're also going to be That's brilliant. Good. As well as that, we're obviously when this actually cooks, you're going to have a wonderful brown effect on the outside, which will be dextrinization when the flour sugars break down. The starchy flour sugars break down into dextrins, and that dextrinization occurs in your food. So that's brilliant. We've got another bit of food science going on there. So that's another reason for this flouring in. There will be a small amount of gelatinization as well going on as the flour is going to be getting a little bit wet with the wet mixture now, and then obviously when that heats up, there will be an element of that. But let's go with the main one here being a bit of aeration and then dextrinization. Okay, do you want to stir that one together, and you're going to make it into a dough ball now. Reason for the apron there. Okay, so my assistant here is now my sous chef is now going to be mixing this one together into a dough ball. Okay, happy with that? Like I say, we're going to let this one chill in the fridge. We'll wrap it in some cling film. We'll wrap it in some more greaseproof paper. We'll whack it in the fridge once we've done this one. And once that's made into a dough ball and done that, we'll get straight onto the filling, and we'll go with a nice little filling on that one. Now, you could add other things you could add to this to make it a traditional pâte sucrée. We say paste basically means sweet pastry or sugar pastry in French. Other things you could add to this traditionally would be almonds. We haven't got any almonds, can't get hold of any at the moment, but almonds would be nice in there. That would be a really nice alternative. You could add another egg in there. I mean, we've got one egg yolk in there. That's probably going to give it the colour and the richness that you should do from these a proper French pastry like this. But yeah, there's other things. How are you doing? Do you want me to have a go? Yeah. Okay. Do you want to have a go at kneading this together? It's quite a crumbly pastry, and this is why you're going to get your high marks for making these sort of pastries, either pâte sucrée or pâte sablée pastries. Is because you're going to just try and bring it together into a bowl. So start kneading that together. It's because they're quite hard to work with. They're not your traditional pastry, and they're quite a harder pastry to work with. Additional marks for it. If you want to, we can add a dab of water to that just to bring it all together. Do you need a little bit of water just to bring it all together? Yeah. Okay, do you want to go and get the little jug and just put a little bit in there? So if you're struggling, you're in year 10, so you should be able to have a go with doing this together. If you do need a tad of water, just get any of the jugs there, will be fine. To do this one, yeah, that's great. Oh, you've got a jug that matches your apron today. We're going full Emma Bridgewater today. There we go. Spotty today, just a little into there. There we go, and try bringing that in together. A little more. There we go. And then just you can start kneading that one in, get your hands in it. And a bumble. All right, how are we doing? I think you can start kneading that one together now. Okay. Get your hands in there, turn it all out onto the board and start to knead that one then. So we're going to very gently knead this one because we don't want it. There we go. Brilliant. Scrape it all off there, put some flour on your hands. If you're struggling to get hold of your ingredients, flour and butter and things, some people have been asking that. So very good question. So if you want to, you can either say, you can send it to me privately or publicly on the messaging. But yeah, good question. So if you're trying to get hold of it, we're using our normal school supplier here at home. Our school supplier for Talkie Girls Grammar is now delivering to homes. It did start delivering week before last. So it's Bid Food. Bid Food, for those who are watching this on YouTube, deliver across the UK and to homes across the UK. If you just go onto their website, Bid Food, and register as a home delivery, they will deliver it. We literally had, how many eggs did we have delivered?
A lot.
It's over 170 eggs delivered last week. So we actually ended up sending out baking packs around to, yeah, you can start leaving now. Sending out baking packs around, well, on your hands though, to all the villages, people in the village. So, and flour as well. We've got about 30 bags of flour up there at the moment, because they've got tons of flour, eggs, milk. So if you're looking to get hold of that, Bid Food is absolutely brilliant for the UK. Obviously, if you're watching this elsewhere in the world, I don't know how you're doing with your supplies, but if I say in the UK, it might be worth contacting your local food industry suppliers and see if they'll deliver to home. Like I say, I know Bid Food will deliver to your home round here. So there's a little tip for you there. If you're thinking that I can't get anything in the supermarkets, go to yours. Also worth going to, other people have said to me, teachers have said, food teachers have said, going to your local pubs who they might have extra and they'd be willing to help you out. If you're a student and you're wanting to do some baking, ask if they've given them an email, drop them a line and see if they've got any spare ingredients, or local restaurants, they often do it. But people that supply the restaurants still have businesses and we need to support all those businesses as well. So that's another way of getting it. Right, let's have a look at this. That is a beautiful, rich, sweet pastry there. So that's exactly what we're looking for. Well done, Millie. Perfect. So what we're going to do now is going to wrap this one in a bit of greaseproof paper. Going to go right back in the fridge. Well, we'll just, very good question. How long? We're just going to do that while we make the filling. So we're looking, I mean, ideally you'd want about half an hour, but we'll probably be okay with about 15 minutes on this one. The longer you leave it, the easier it's going to be to roll back out, and you'll probably roll that again between some bits of greaseproof paper just to make things easier. All right, let's move forward, and we're going to work on our fruit filling now. Now, for our fruit filling, let me just go back to do this one, and it's got in 3 parts. This one, so we've got the fruit filling. And the meringue to end with. Okay, so here we go. To go with the fruit filling, what we're going to do is we're going to put the butter, the corn flour, and we're going to put in, or if you haven't got corn flour, custard powder, or custard in the water and fruit juice into a saucepan and heat gently. Okay, so heat gently, mixing all the time until it's really thickened. Okay, so you're wanting to do that one. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to make sure you've got all of those ingredients ready for you. Let's go back to the ingredients. So you're going to need 50 grams of butter, measured out, ready to go. And then in with the 50 grams of butter, you're going to be putting in there 3 tablespoons of the corn flour, 4 tablespoons of lemon juice or lime juice or even orange juice with that one, and then make it up to 250 ml with water. Okay, so you're going to make that up with 250 ml of water. So just to make that clear, you're going to put the butter, the corn flour, and the sugar into that. So it's 100 grams of sugar. So half the butter to the sugar. You need 50 grams of butter. So if you're getting these ready at the moment, just getting ready for you to put into your saucepan, you're going to need your 50 grams of butter. And with the 50 grams of butter, you're going to be putting 100 grams of sugar. Okay, again, that's fine. Okay, 50 grams of butter. Yeah, you're going to need to put your 100 grams of sugar. And then you're going to look 3 tablespoons of the custard powder or corn flour and 4 tablespoons of your juice. Now I'm going to use actual, I'm going to use some actual juice. So we'll use some actual juice, some lemon. I've got a lemon. There we go, brilliant. So you just need your sugar into that one. Okay, I'm going to get back to our cells and we'll go and wander over there then. All right, so Millie at the moment is just measuring out the sugar. She's got your butter, sugar will go into the pan, and then we'll flavour that one with the corn flour or custard powder, and the lemon or lime juice is going to go into there. Now, the difference in the custard powder is it's got that vanilla and sugar aspect to it already, but we'll go with it. It's a good thickening agent. It's a sweet thickening agent in there. It's got all the starch in there as well. So we'll work with what we've got at the moment. How are we doing? 50?
100.
Oh, sorry, 100. Sorry, yeah, 100. Perfect. Okay, so sugar, butter.
Yeah.
Take them over. We need to take our corn flour, 3 of those, and our lemon. Now, if you haven't got lemon juice, that's, I say, absolutely fine. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. We can always make juice. So if you've got, I'm just going to go into the fridge here. If you've got some orange juice, that would work. It's a citrus one. It's not ideal, but you know, we can make do. And we're going to mix all of those different pieces of ingredients together. Okay, so I'm just going to bring the computer over and the laptops and the camera. We're back over at the hob here now, and we're going to work on getting all of these bits and pieces together. There we are, mate. Are you happy there?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to get that onto a medium heat? So we're going to medium heat. We're going to just heat this one gently. There we go. There's, you can see us now. So Millie's just there. She's going to put in the butter and the sugar on a low heat. There we go. You show all the other girls that. Brilliant, you have. Excellent. Stir that one together. And while you're stirring that one together, I'm going to work on the other one. So we're going to need some of the other ingredients. So let me just get some teaspoons while you stir that one together. And some tablespoons. Okay, so first one we're going to be putting into there is we're going to be putting in our corn flour, our thickening agents. Just turn that one. That's good. And we're going to put in mixing all of that together. So let's put a thickening agent in there, and we're also going to need to put into there the juice as well. So let me put that in there. While you're melting that in, so we've got 1, 2, 3 of the corn flour. That's 3 of the corn flours in there. I'm going to be putting in there the juice. Okay, so 4 tablespoons of juice made up to 250 ml in a jug. So I'll get the jug. Okay, so I've got myself a little jug there. In with that, I'm going to get my lemon juice in there. Okay, so there's my lemon juice. I've got my lemon from my lemon meringue. Now, a little tip here: if you wanted to do, if you're doing this at home and using real ones, you might have a proper orange or lemon squeezer. But if you haven't, what you can use is use a little bit of clean film. And it's a little tip I got from Ashburton Cookery School. This one. So you tear off a little bit of the clean film. It's Dan over there at Ashburton Cookery School. Told me this one. Put the clean film over the top, and then poke some holes into that, and then squeeze it over. Then you get the fresh lemon juice out without having to worry about getting any of the pips in there. So I'll just get a little knife there. There we go. And we're going to get our piece in there. Let me turn that down. Make sure it's down there. So I'm now just going to squeeze that, and then as I've got juice going into there, the 4 tablespoons of juice without any of the actual pips going in. There we go. 1, 2, yeah, you can do, yeah. 2, 3. Yeah, that should be enough. Let me just squeeze that last little bit there. So again, I've got all the juice in, none of the pips in there. That's brilliant. Let's just check we got the right amount there. 4 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tablespoons of lemon in there, and then finally make that one up with 250 ml of water. Okay, in that goes. Stir all of that together on a medium heat until it starts to thicken. Okay. So Millie's just going to stir all of those bits and pieces together. Now, this is where we can properly talk about gelatinisation. So while she's stirring those ones together, gelatinisation, if you can remember what that is, that's starch, and you've got those tiny little bits of starch in the flour. And what's going to happen is as you heat up the liquid, the starch is going to be expanding and expanding, expanding. And then all of a sudden they're going to burst, release amylopectin into there. And as they do that, they're going to thicken up our mixture. So all of a sudden it's going to get thicker and thicker, and you might think, well, nothing's happening. Then boom, it's going to properly gelatinize. Now, full gelatinisation doesn't occur till 100 degrees, but you should start to thicken around about 60 to 80. So as those starches are beginning to expand apart and they can't move past each other, you're going to see them swelling up, absorbing water, taking on board water. They're going to swell, but then all of a sudden, boom, you've got them. You've got the whole lot gelatinizing. How are we doing? You can turn the heat up a bit more. There we go. Yeah. Got a lovely, beautiful lemon curdy type mixture going on there. So gently heat that through until it's thickened. It's really thickened yet? Not yet. You know, as you've done this in school before, when you're making a sauce, you keep stirring it and stirring it and stirring it, and then all of a sudden it's going to burst, and that's what we're looking for to happen today. We're just going to keep stirring that one. I'm going to move around the other way actually, and then I can talk to you while I'm doing this one. Oops, a little bit more. Doing that one. Yeah, so keep doing it. Starting to work. Yeah, ever so slightly. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's nearly there. Okay, so I'm just going to move the camera around so you can see what's going on. There we go. I don't know if you can quite see that one into there. So we're just gently rolling that one on there, and then all of a sudden it's going to end up bursting. You can see the lumps of the flour in there. So, oh, is it starting to burst? Look at that. Look at that. Stir it, turn the heat down. There we are. Turn the heat right down. And we'll keep stirring, keep stirring, keep stirring, keep stirring. Don't stop stirring. If you stop stirring, you're going to end up with it being really, really thick with lumps in it. We just want to keep stirring that all the time. Just don't stop stirring. There we go. That's coming together really nicely. Now, if you lift your spoon up, Millie, you should be able to show everyone that that's how much that's started to gelatinize now. Can you see that one, everybody? I don't know. Just go and try that one again, Millie. Oops, there we go. I'm going to try. There we go. Try it that way. Lift up to the screen. That's the one. That's what I'm trying to show you. You can just about see there that that is all gelatinizing off. Maybe it would be better the other way. Let's try it back around there. Can you see that way? If I show you. There we go. It was better the original way around. It's formed into a beautiful fruit curd, zesty fruit curd. Okay, so that's where we should be on there. We've got a beautiful zesty fruit curd on there. Right, we've got some more questions there. How many milliliters of filling do we need? Right, yes, so you're using that one. I would go if you can measure out about 250 milliliters of the actual liquid you're putting into there. So whether that is the actual can you've got there, that would be great. So measure out the can of how it, and then you don't need to put the liquid into that one. You're going to be okay. So I'm just answering some private messages down the side here. Yeah, you don't need to put so much of those milliliters of water in there. You're just going to go with 250 with your fruit juices with that one, and your sugar going into there as well. So does that make sense, Elizabeth? Is that going to make sense? How much do you understand what I mean by that? Just give me a thumbs up if you understand where we're coming from on there. Yeah, so with Elizabeth, you just need to add there just the to what you've got already, your can or pouch of what you've got there. If you add your butter and your sugar and your 4 tablespoons of citrus juice, that'll be absolutely fine. Okay. Yeah, okay, Elizabeth's got that one. Brilliant. All right, so she's got hers. We've got a few people just making theirs and there. Is that as lovely and smooth yet? It's starting to. There's a few little bits in there. Let me just show you where Millie's up to on hers. So she's making her lemon curd there. Very yellow, very yellowy lemon curd there. Very glossy though. I like it. So you just keep stirring that one. Okay, now once we've done that, we're going to just take it off the heat and let it cool. The reason we're going to let it cool is we're going to add some egg yolks to this. We're going to be adding a couple of egg yolks to this. The egg whites we're going to use for the meringue, but the 2 egg yolks we're going to be going into this. Now we can't put that into it now because what's going to happen, Millie? If we put egg yolks into there,
it will just
scramble. Yeah, it's just getting Millie says it's going. It will just scramble. So what we need to do is we need to wait for that to cool down now. So Millie, once you've got no lumps in there, do you want to just get that into the fridge? Yeah, and we'll put that one directly into the fridge there. Just gonna make some space in the fridge there to put that one in. There we go. So we're going to get that one in, and we can get our pastry out, and we're going to line our pastry and blind bake. So I'm just going to go into my fridge here. There we go. Get some bit of space for how to put that in there. Okay, some space in there, Millie, on the bottom then to put that. Right, do you want to bring that one over there and get the pastry out? Now we're going to be lining the pastry tin because we're going to be we're going to be lining the pastry tin and we're going to then blind bake it. So just want to quick reminders on how to do that one. That's it. Put that whole thing in there, Millie, with that in there. That's fine. And do you want to get the pastry out? Okay, so let's go back to our work area, and we're now going to blind bake it. There's a couple of things when you're doing it. That's fine. Okay, so a couple of things you need to remember. We're going to be doing this one. You can use a rolling pin if you want to use a rolling pin. If you haven't got a rolling pin, what could you use, Millie? Glass bottle, milk bottle. Oh, milk bottle would be fine. So if you've got a rolling pin at home, that's fine. What you need to do to make sure you've got your wonderful pastry there, get some flour on your work surface, ready to roll that out. And then we're going to be lining our tins. Okay, so put flour on the top there, and you roll that one out. Do you want a rolling pin or a bottle? Okay, so we got our tins that are already lined with paper, and we need to line it with pastry next. So she's just going to roll this one out, probably about as thick as a 50p piece. That sort of thickness is what we're looking at. You can use it for a number of things if you want to cut out your circles, because you want to be obviously circular to go in, but it needs to be the depth of the actual tin piece here as well. We've got, so to do that one, we're going to need to cut a piece that is larger. Now you can either use the base and then add some space around the outside, or if you wanted to, you could just try and find an extra pastry cutter. We've got some big pastry cutters there, haven't we? Yeah. What's the largest pastry cutter we've got? Let's have a see if that will work. Okay, oh yeah, that's quite a big one. Yeah, that will work nicely. So we've got a large pastry cutter that's obviously bigger than the tin space in there, and that's going to give us our space all the way around the outside there, which would be absolutely fine to go over the top of that. There's a space, it's enough space that's going to give us the lip on the top there. If you haven't, just freehand it, cut around the sizes that you've got to make this one. This one should give you at least 2, maybe 3 tuna tin sizes. Okay. We're going to try with 2. We're going to try with a very shallow old pie dish here and the tuna dish, using what we can find at the moment in our kitchens. Brilliant. How are we doing? Is that like a 50p piece?
Yeah.
So you can have beautiful yellow colour. That's looking really lovely. Can you see that one, everybody? That's a beautiful, lovely colour. Okay, I'm just going to squeeze that one out just a little bit more. If you want to cut a circle out for that one, there we go. As close as you can to the edge, and we'll use the rest of the other dish. Alrighty, perfect. We'll just roll that one up. Now, this is not like the puff pastries we made before, or the phyllo pastries we made before, where you can actually reuse this one. So we'll just knead that one back together, and we can reuse that one for the other one. Okay, so we've got the tin there. We need to. Or maybe a little bit more. Do you want to roll that one out just a little bit more in its circle? We can just roll it one way and then roll the other. There we go. So Millie's just making it slightly bigger so we can go up the sides of the tin. What do you think? That good? Okay, so then you just lift it over the tin as Millie's done here, and then just ease it in around the outside. Okay, if it falls down, don't worry, pull it back up. We're just easing it equally around the outside. Okay. And then just up the sides as well. Okay. You don't want it to break, so you're just going to ease it up the tin. There we go. Perfect. Alrighty. So you can see we're just going to go over the top of the lip there, because when we cook it, it's going to go down a little bit. So we're just going to ease that just up and over ever so slightly. We can always trim that off. That excess off, and we're now going to blind bake it. Now, to blind bake it, again, this is another reason why your pastry is considered a high level piece. We need to cook this before we actually cook it. Okay, so this is going to seal it. It's going to make it waterproof when we put all the contents in as well. So there's our piece there. Now we're going to go back to our greaseproof paper again. We keep using this greaseproof paper, and we're going to scrunch it up. Scrunch that up there. Okay, I'm going to scrunch it up to open it all up for me now. Okay, we're going to put that into the middle. Now, I would normally at school be using all my baking beans, and the ones we'd be using in school. I've left mine at school. Disaster. So what can we use instead? Well, there's lots of other things you can use instead. We're going to use some rice, aren't we, Millie?
Yeah.
There we go. So if you want to spoon some rice into there. It's what you're using is something that can give it some weight, so like the baking beans. But again, we're in this odd situation where we might not have everything at home, so rice would work fine. Other things that work really well are coins, like old 1-penny pieces. Work really well because they heat up really well as well. Now you know what we've got to do, don't you? Fork. We've got the fork there. The other things that stop that pastry from expanding, as well as the weight, thank you, as well as the weight of the rice, that's enough, you hold that one and we'll put that back in a minute, is to prick the bottom first with a fork. So we're going to just prick the bottom first in the fork. Stop laughing. Prick the bottom first with a fork, and then we're going to put the weight of that on the top. And you're going to go and put it onto a tray and into the oven then, okay? Yeah. So it's going to put that into the oven just so it seals it, okay? So we're just going to put that one into the oven. So for about five minutes for the most of that sort of size, depends on how much pastry you put in and how big a tin you're doing. We're just going to put that one in for 5 minutes, and we're then going to take it one out, and that will be beautifully blind baked, so we can do putting our filling in. The first filling we'll put in is that beautiful curd you've just made there, that zesty curd, and then on the top of that we're going to pipe some meringue. Okay. Did you want to go with the other one as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to roll that one. We're just going to have a go with going out for the larger tin as well, so we can show you different sizes and what that's going to look like. Okay. While I talk about the next bit, now we're going to be putting in. Okay. We're going to be putting in 2 egg yolks into the cooled curd mix to finish that one off. The 2 egg whites we are going to whisk up. Now you can use an electric whisk. Oops, where's the electric whiskey? There we go. You can use that. Now, tips for your making meringue. Okay, you want to use a glass, or you want to use something like a glass or a metal bowl to do it in. You want to make sure it is properly washed out beforehand. Even if it's sitting in the cupboard, go and give it a wash out and a dry off before you do it into your glass bowl or your metal bowl. The reason being, we don't want any of the fats that may have got ingrained in it, and that's the reason we're not using a plastic bowl as well. We don't want any parts where there could be any spots of fat in there. What's going to happen is if we do that, you're not going to end up with your egg whites setting like we want to. Okay, so what happens is, first of all, they denature. They go from that liquid to the and then eventually they turn solid, and that is fully coagulated. So we denature and then we coagulate. We start to go from a liquid to a solid, and it starts to change colour, and then we sect that solid. And when you sect that solid, that's your protein fully denatured. Now that's not going to happen unless you use, say, a glass bowl or a metal bowl or something along those lines. And you can use a number of different things. So say we can use a hand one. If you've got that fancy KitchenAid here, you can use your fancy KitchenAids if you want to, or you can use that one. Which one are you using? Use a fancy KitchenAid, or we use a hand whisk? Hand whisk. We're going to use a hand whisk, okay. Millie's going to be using a hand whisk then, and we're going to get our egg whites into that, and we're going to make that one. Are you okay? Happy? Yeah. Your dish is sliding everywhere. Okay. Let me give you a hand with that one. Right. So remember what you need to do next. Crunch up. So we've got a nice big pastry that Millie's just cut out, the circular one there. We're just putting this one into the old pie dish that we got from someone gave us a pie from the local farm shop. So we got a pie dish from the local farm shop here. We're just reusing on there. Don't forget to obviously clean it first, and then make sure you boiled it clean. There we go, washed it properly. So we've got our dish. So this is our shallow one. We've got a shallow one here. There it goes. Then we need a bigger bit, don't you? Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Same as before, same as the tuna one. Screw it up. In it goes. Did you prick it?
No.
Okay, it's done. All right, in it goes. Some rice in there. Got your spoon still? There we go. That's going to weigh it down. So the hole in it is going to allow any gas to escape. So you haven't got any bulbous bits of pastry sticking up. the weight is going to stop any expansion of the gases, any expansion going on in there. Now, gas is obviously going to be in this already, but when they go into the oven, the convection oven, when they go into the oven, those gases are going to expand. That's physical aeration is going to happen, but we don't want that to happen in our style of pastry. We want it to be a lovely, sealed, smooth pastry in there before we start filling it. That's going to be fine, perfectly. All right. Okay. So we're going to get that one into the. Now, other things you can use. Good question. Other things, if you've not got rice at the moment, and it might be one of those things like pasta you just can't get hold of at the moment. Going to whack that one in. Other things you can use. Dried chickpeas work brilliantly, and we've used those in school before. So you can use dried chickpeas to weight down your pastries and when you're blind baking them. Any kind of baking bean type things like that, or coins you can use, or like I say, rice that we've used. If you find some old coins down the back of the sofa, they work a treat. Okay, let's carry on there. So we've got. Do you want to just check the temperature of our curd? How's that doing? Is that cooled down enough yet? Can you stick your finger in it? We don't want to be only put our egg yolks in there. We don't want it to curdle. We want it just to form a lovely curd. Is it cool now?
Still a bit hot.
Okay, just stir it through. Put it back in the fridge then. She's doing that one. Okay, we'll start separating the egg whites and the egg yolks then. Remember, like I say, you've got your suitable bowl ready for your egg whites. Your egg yolks, we're going to go into your curd. Okay, so we do that one there. So separate those ones off, Melly. Egg whites and egg, do you want me to separate them? You carry on stirring that. I'll separate the egg yolks and the egg whites then. Stir your curd, cool it down. I'm going to separate the egg yolks and the egg whites. Okay, so let's get those in there. Lots of fancy things for separating egg yolks and egg whites. You've probably seen the bottle trick on YouTube, which is quite clever, and you can do. Oh, look at that lovely egg whites. There we go. Just going to ease it into the hands. More gooey egg whites going in there. Brilliant. The yolks over there for later. Let's do the next one. So 2 here. Careful not to split the yolk. There's the white all going in. Put some more of that white into the bowl. And the yolks over there. Okay. Okay, so we've now got a bowl of egg whites in there. We've got a bowl of egg yolks. So you can quite see that in there. There we are. The egg yolks are in there. The egg whites are in here. One's going to form the top. One's going to form the middle. Okay. So let's get it over. Do you want to leave that one, Millie? Come and whisk your egg whites. Yeah. Are you sure you don't want to use my fancy KitchenAid? No. Okay. Fine. You can use this one. Okay. So Millie's just going to use the hand whisk in there to form soft peaks on there. Now, when you're doing that one, would you just grab that sheet from there? Oh, sorry, my way. I'll plug that one in. There we go. Just put it underneath there. There we go. Oh, there we go. Right. Now we're going to be using to make this one. I should pop, skip, and a jump. Someone's just saying, "Where are we?" Let me just go back to where we are. Okay, so currently we've done the fruit filling with the exception of the egg yolks, which we're going to put in there. We're going to do the meringue top now. Now the meringue requires 2 egg whites, which we've got in here, and 75 grams of caster sugar. Let me check that temperature. Is that one ready to come off? Did it beep just now? Mm-hmm. Got your oven gloves there? Yeah. Sorry, just while you're doing that, Millie's, the beep's just gone for the pastries, for the first pastry tart. Oh, both, is it? Do we get those ones out? While she's doing that, let me tell you what we're doing. So we're going to add the yolks to the cool. I'm going to add the yolks to the cool mixture. We've already blind baked them now. And Millie's going to whisk the egg whites with the electric whisk until stiff, and add half of the sugar, and then whisk again, and gradually whisk in the remaining part of it. Okay, how are we doing? Let's just put the oven back on, and then just if you put those trays, just on the side, all on the hob. Millie, if you lift them all off into the hob, the whole thing, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we've just taken our blind baked pastries out, and we're going to get back to our egg whites and egg yolks. Okay. Let's get back to us. All right. So, Millie, you've got egg whites. You've got your custard, you've got your sugar ready, 75 grams of that. Let me just, you just need to go and get your sugar. Do you want to go and grab a bowl? And this, for that. So in with the egg whites, we're going to put 75 grams. Now, another little tip for meringues. If you are still unsure whether your bowl is completely clean, what you can use is you can use a bit of lemon and just wipe it all the way around the outside with lemon juice first, and then wipe it with a bit of kitchen roll. So that's another way to ensure that you have got a really good bowl that's going to be clean enough to make sure you get proper nice peaks on your egg whites. Okay, yep, there we go, 75, yep. So that's another way of doing it, and also gradually add your sugar to it when you're doing this one. Don't be tempted to throw all your sugar in at the same time. You put in half first, then you gradually add the other half into it. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to find it's when he's going to start weeping later on. So you want to try and make sure that this is gradually adding this one when we're making our meringues. And this is obviously the proper way of making meringue. We did talk in previous lessons about making microwave meringues, where we did that one. If you were in the lesson with that one, where we did them in 30 seconds. This is going to take a little bit longer than 30 seconds. It's going to take about 20 minutes to cook the meringue on top of this one when we make our lemon little meringue pies. How are we doing there? Okay. Just measuring out the sugar to go in with hers. Good. That's it. Do you want to go and get me your saucepan? And you can do the egg whites while I do the saucepan then. Yeah. The curd. That's fine. Here we go. So I've got the curd as it was there, the curd, and I'm going to add into that my egg yolks. And Millie is going to whisk the egg whites with the electric whisk. Add half of the sugar, and then until it's stiff. And then once it's gone stiff, and then gradually add in the other one, a tablespoon at a time. Not when it's gone hard. So if you're talking, it's been really loud, so sorry. I'm going to now add the egg yolks. Okay. More stir, Anne. Go swap. Go and stop. Now we're nearly there with the egg whites. We're there with the egg yolk. Okay, so what we've got there, you can see that the egg white is now turning white and it's starting to get thicker. So at this point, we are denaturing our protein. There's long chains of amino acids have pulled apart and they are beginning to reform and they are getting further and further apart. And as a take on board, we're now getting something that's turning opaque instead of clear, and it's starting to thicken. This is denaturing. Right, we're going to coagulate it now. Keep going until we got soft peaks. We're nearly solid, nearly there. go. Ready to turn your head? Put it upside down. Okay, we have now got solid. It is now denatured and coagulated. It's coagulated. So much so if I tip this on top of Millie's head, it's fine. Okay, so that is properly done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add into there half that sugar. You can put half the sugar in. So she's just going to be putting in half the sugar into there. Just pour half in. There we go. There we go. Put half of that in. Okay. Now, you carry on doing that. So she's just going to carry on, and then we'll gradually add the rest of that in there. So carry on now. Okay, I'm going to gradually add the rest of that. Little at a time. Okay, all of it in there. Okay, take it out there. And again. There we go. Right, we have got some beautiful. Look at this. Look at the peaks on that. Look at that. Look at that. You can see that on the camera. There we go. That is what we are looking for. That is a proper meringue top there. Okay, there we go. You can just see that. No, better on there. You can see that one. Brilliant. Okay, so now we can start putting a whole thing together. So we've got our 3 layers. We have our top layer, the meringue. We have our middle layer, our fruity zesty curd, and then we've got our bottom layer, which are Millie's just going to get the bottom layer, which is our pastries, and we're going to put all 3 elements together, a little bit like you would do when you're making lasagna. You've got 3 elements, you've got a few different elements they're going together, and as you layer in these elements, you're going to be ending up with something that's a slightly higher level dish. Okay, how are we doing? There we go. So we have got our first pastry, and you can see it's actually so well done, and it's not risen, but you can actually lift it out of the tray as it is at the moment. That's just perfect. That one probably could do with another couple of minutes. We'll come back to it. You want to put that one, the larger one, like I say, it'll depend on the sizes. So 5 minutes for a tuna tin, it's going to be perfect. With the larger tins, we're going to need slightly longer, more pastry to go through there. But the tuna tin is just in the perfect place for making our meringues now. So what we're going to do, we're going to put a tablespoon of the fruit mix into the bottom of each tart, carefully pipe or spoon over the filling. So let me just go back to where we are on the recipe. There we go. Here we go. So if you can see on the recipe there, we're down at the final stage to making our meringues now. Our fruit meringue tarts. So you can see there, we're just going to spoon the mixture into the bottom of each tart, and then we're going to carefully pipe or spoon the mixture over the top and then bake for 20 minutes. Again, this is going to be different depending on how big you have made your tarts and how much you want to make. Okay, so let me just send that live again. Is it one? There we go. So spoon, got yourself a spoon. Okay. Do you want to put the fruit curd filling into the middle?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So first bit into our lovely pastry there, filling. We're going to put that into the middle. Okay. Use your finger if you want. Press it in. Spread that around in there. Okay. Right, now, piping bags. You haven't got piping bags at home? don't worry. If you've got a plastic bag, okay, and just chip the bottom off that in the corner. You can use that as a piping bag. Okay, so are you happy? Do you want a bit more, or are you happy with that much?
A little bit more.
A little bit more in there, okay. There we go. All right. Okay, now piping. So we've got piping bags there. We've got piping bags there. Brilliant. So we're going to now use a piping bag. Little tip with this one is to use something like a glass jug or a glass jar. Want me to open it? You get the jar? Okay. So get a glass jar or something along those sort of lines you can use just to. Okay, just find the top of it. This is where I need nails, but can't have nails in the kitchen. No, just a large glass from the large glass. That one on the side there, over there, that large glass over there by the, water glass, that's fine. Right, get your hand in the middle there, put the end into the glass. There we go, jug, and you can pull down the sides. So, and that gives you a nice open space to put your filling in. Now you need a nice clean spoon for that one. And we're going to spoon the mixture in, and then once we've done that, we're going to pipe it on. Now piping, another level again. You're going to get even more marks there for your NEA2 next year for doing this one, if this fits in with what the brief is for next year. Okay. Oh, look at that, it's beautiful and smooth there, Meringue. Don't hit it though, just let it drop out. Use another spoon if you want to. There we go. And just move that one in. Don't want to knock all the lovely air out of that. So Millie's just going to put all of that into the piping bag, and then once we've done that, we'll start piping in like little emoji poos on the top. Lots of those little ones, or you can do your own fancy piece on there, and then into the oven, the preheated oven at 200 degrees, gas mark 6 for 20 minutes, and that, girls, is your lemon meringue pie. Or your fruit pie, depending on whether you put lemon, lime, a bit of orange juice in there to make it zesty. That is entirely up to you. There we go. That looks lovely and yummy. You see how the sugar is just made it. It's not going to have any of that weeping going on. It's a lovely thick consistency there. It's really holding all of that coagulated egg white together. Okay, well done. That's just the buzzer saying that the other meringue pie, for the dry and baking of the other top of the meringue pie. I'm just going to ease this up now. You've got all that in there, so now find it a lot easier. Just pull the sides up. Again, you can use this in a plastic bag. Just so happens that I have some piping bags at home, but if you haven't, you can just use a plastic bag and have a go with that. Make do with what we've got. Okay, it's about learning the skills while we're at home and carrying on to do that. Perfect, yeah. So we've got that there, and then all you need to do then is just snip the side. Do you want me to do it, or do you want to do it?
I want to do it.
You want to do it? Okay, just put that on the side for the moment. Just ease it off because you need that tray though. You'll need that shelf.
Yeah.
Back in the oven. So Millie wants to have a go with this one. So we're going to have a go at just a little bit of piping in there. She's not sitting here yet. She's going to be here any minute now.
Yeah.
Here she is. Okay, you need your scissors, don't you? So just down there. Always take off little. You can always go more if you want to. If you find it's too hard to push through. So when you're doing this one, turn it and put your thumb and finger over the top and squeeze with this one. So your thumb and finger are just going to fold it over and put it under. Okay. Yeah. And then squeeze through with that one. Okay, so you can do circulars. What we're going to do. Okay, and then what you can do around the outside. There we go. Do you want to do one in the middle? Let's go round and round and round in the middle. And then push down and up. There we go. Okay, one little lemon meringue pie. Do you want to whack that in the oven then for 20 minutes? So what we can see, so the camera can see. We've got a little lemon meringue pie with piping. You can quite see the piping on there. You want to get that one into the oven, Millie? Well done. There we go. Let's see. You can do this one. If a year 7 can do it, year 10s, you can definitely do this one. Okay. So we're going to have a go with the rest of it. Hopefully that's all worked out for you. It'd be lovely to see how your little meringue pies turn out. So please send me your photos. That'd be great. So I know that you've enjoyed it and you've got so much out of it. Any more questions from my girls at the moment? No, looks like everybody's got that far. You can always pause, rewind, and of course these videos will all be available on YouTube at after school. I'll get them all put onto YouTube so you can see them again. So brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you to Millie. Oops, it's just the internet. There we are. So thank you to Millie. Thank you there. Take care. Stay safe. And we will see you later in the week. We've got a single lesson and then a double next week. So I will send you all the information for that, girls. If you're watching on YouTube, again, thank you very much for joining us. Stay safe, take care, look after yourself, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.